Hey everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel Code and Create. In this video, we're going to build an FAQ accordion using React 19 and the latest Tailwind CSS4. This project is a perfect blend of modern UI components, smooth animations, and interactive functionality, making it a great addition to any website. But this isn't just a simple accordion. This project is built using the newest version of Tailwind CSS, which comes with a fully CSS-based configuration and some powerful new features. Besides learning how to create a collapsible FAQ section with dynamic expand collapse functionality, you will also learn how to implement a full dark and light theme toggle, store user preferences in local storage, and make the entire experience smooth and accessible. If you're excited about staying up to date with the latest in Tailwind CSS, you are in the right place. I'm George, and I run this channel with my friend Lasha. We've recently launched several in-depth tutorials on Tailwind CSS4, covering its latest features and best practices. So if you're interested in learning more about the newest version of Tailwind, make sure to check them out. Before we dive into the build, don't forget to like this video if you enjoy this kind of content, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming tutorials. Also, feel free to drop a comment down below and let us know what you think of Tailwind CSS4 or what tutorials you'd like to see next. Now let's jump straight into the detailed overview of our project and explore all the features we're about to build. In this project, we will be building a fully responsive interactive FAQ accordion designed to be both visually appealing and highly functional. Users will be able to expand and collapse individual FAQ items, toggle between light and dark mode, and even expand or collapse all questions at once with a single button. Each question will be displayed inside a clickable button, allowing users to expand and collapse the answers with a smooth transition. When a user clicks a question, the corresponding answer will slide down, and clicking again will collapse it. In addition to toggling individual questions, we'll add an expand all button that allows users to open or close all questions at once. This feature enhances the user experience, making it easier to browse multiple questions quickly. The button will dynamically change its text and icon depending on whether all questions are expanded or collapsed. A core feature of this project is the ability to switch between dark and light themes. We'll implement a dark mode toggle button, which will instantly update the background, text, and UI colors across the entire section. To ensure a smooth user experience, we'll store the dark mode preference in local storage. This means that when a user switches themes, the preference will be saved, and even after refreshing the page, their last selected mode will be automatically applied. The question items will feature a beautifully animated sliding effect, making the expand collapse transitions feel natural. We'll achieve this by dynamically controlling max height and opacity using Tailwind's utility classes and React's useRef hook. When a user expands a question that is lower down on the page, the screen will automatically scroll to the expanded item to keep it in view. This will be implemented using the scroll into view method, ensuring that no content is hidden off screen when expanded. Our FAQ accordion will be fully optimized for all screen sizes, ensuring a clean layout whether viewed on mobile, tablet, or desktop. We'll use Tailwind's responsive utility classes to adjust spacing, typography, and alignment dynamically. So without further ado, let's jump right into the setup process and start building this project from scratch. Alright, let's kick things off by setting up our React and Tailwind CSS4 project. We are starting from scratch, so follow along as we go step by step to get everything up and running smoothly. First, I have a new empty folder on my desktop. Let's open it in VS Code. Now I'm going to open the terminal using Ctrl plus backtick. And I'm going to run the following command to create a new React application using Vite. We need npm create Vite at latest. Then we need the name of the application. It's going to be FAQ app. Then we need dash dash followed by dash dash template. And we need React. This command initializes a new React project called FAQ app using Vite as the build tool. Actually, Vite is a fast and lightweight tool for building modern web applications, providing a much better development experience compared to older tools like Create React App. So once the installation is complete, you will see a newly created folder, FAQ app. Inside this folder, Vite has automatically set up all the necessary files and folders, including src. Also, we have here public folder, package.json file, and so on. Now let's install Tailwind CSS version 4 along with its Vite plugin. First of all, we have to enter the folder. We need cd FAQ app. And then inside here, I'm going to run npm install Tailwind CSS. Then we need add Tailwind CSS / Vite. Once the installation is done, Tailwind is now ready to use in our project. Unlike previous versions, Tailwind CSS version 4 no longer requires a separate configuration file, Tailwind config file, and it makes setup much simpler. To confirm that everything is installed correctly, I'm going to open package.json file. So as you can see, we have here React 19 and Tailwind CSS 4. Alright, before we start coding, let's remove some unnecessary files and folders that we don't need. I'm going to delete assets folder. Then I'm going to delete the SVG icon from the public folder. Also, we don't need app.css file. Now our project is much cleaner and we are ready to configure Tailwind. Since Tailwind no longer generates a config file in version 4, we need to manually configure it inside vite.config file. So inside here, we need to import Tailwind CSS from @Tailwind CSS Vite. And then inside the plugins array, we have to pass Tailwind CSS next to React. Okay, so this enables Tailwind CSS integration with Vite, allowing us to use all of the Tailwind's utility classes seamlessly. Next, I'm going to open index.css file, and I'm going to remove everything from here. We need to add import Tailwind CSS. As you remember, in the previous versions of Tailwind, we needed here 3 directives, base, components, and utilities. But since the 4th version, we no longer need those directives, we just need this single line of code. Alright, now let's go ahead and open up the JSX file and remove everything from here. I'm going to create a new React functional component, and for that I'm going to use RAFCE shortcut. So this shortcut generates a new React functional component, and actually it comes from the extension called ES7 React Redux React Native snippet. So I recommend to install this extension and use those shortcuts. Alright, so at this point we have a basic React setup with Tailwind configured. Let's move on to structuring our project. I'm going to create the necessary folders and files inside the src directory. First, we need to create new folder, components, in which I'm going to create 2 files. The first one is going to be FAQ list.jsx. Then we need FAQ item.jsx. Then I'm going to create new folder inside the src directory. It's going to be data. And here we need new file. I'm going to call it FAQ data.js. This file will hold an array of questions and answers that we're going to use throughout this project. Let's go ahead and start populating our components. I'm going to open FAQ item.jsx file, and here I'm going to create new functional component using RAFCE. Then I'm going to open list component and create here functional component. Next, I'm going to import item component. So we need here FAQ item from FAQ item, and instead of this text here, I'm going to insert FAQ item. Then I'm going to open up the JSX file and I'm going to import FAQ list component. And then instead of up, I'm going to insert here FAQ list. Alright, so now our components are linked together and we're ready to see our initial setup in action. Let's modify the index.html file. I'm going to get rid of this pop icon from here, and also I'm going to change the title of the project. It's going to be, let's say, FAQ. Let's make it simple. So throughout this project we are going to use box icons for icons and a Google font for better typography. I'm going to go to box icons website. So this is the official box icons website where you can see lots of different icons. In order to use this library, I'm going to click usage, then import the CSS, and we have to grab this CDN link from here. Let's paste it inside the head element. Then I'm going to take care of the Google fonts. Let's go to Google Fonts website. I'm going to search for font called prompt. I'm going to click here, then we need get font, get embed code, and I'm going to copy those links from here. Let's paste them inside the head element as well. Alright, so now to apply those fonts, I'm going to open index.css file, and here I'm going to select every element using an asterisk. Let's define font family. It's going to be prompt sans serif. Now all our text will have a modern and clean look. Alright, so now let's start the development server and preview our setup. I'm going to run npm run dev. So here Vite starts the development server. The terminal displays a local URL, localhost 5173. I'm going to open the URL in the browser by pressing Alt and clicking the URL itself. So as you can see, our project is up and running in the browser. We have here text FAQ item from the item component. To make the development process smoother, I'm going to place VS Code on one side and the browser on the other. This will make our working process more convenient and fast. Alright, now that our project structure is in place, it's time to bring it to life by adding some content. First, I have a text file where I've already prepared the FAQ questions and answers. Instead of writing them manually, I'll insert this predefined data into the FAQ data file. So I'm going to copy this data and then I'm going to insert it here. So inside this file, we have an array of objects where each object represents a single FAQ item with an ID, a unique identifier for each question. Then we have a question, the actual query the user might have, and we have an answer, the corresponding response to that question. This structured format makes it easy to manage and scale if we ever need to add more FAQs later. Now that the FAQ data is ready, we can move on to adding the page heading and description. Let's structure the top section of our page to include a title and a short description. I'm going to open up the JSX file and insert the following JSX inside the return statement. First, we need to customize the wrapper development. So I'm going to add here classes, minimum height screen, which means that the minimum height is going to be 100 viewport height. Then we need PG gradient to bottom right from gray 50 via gray 100, and then we need to gray 50. So this element serves as the main container for our entire FAQ section, ensuring it takes up the full screen height. Actually, those colors are similar to white colors. That's why we don't see here difference. At least it's barely visible. If we change this color to, let's say, red 500, you will see that the classes actually work successfully. So let's get back here gray 50. After that, I'm going to insert here another div element. Let's add to it some classes with the container. Then I'm going to add here MX Auto, followed by PY12. So in Tailwind CSS, the container class is a responsive utility that censors content and sets a maximum width for readability. It ensures that layouts don't stretch too wide on large screens while maintaining a fluid, adaptive structure. Alright, next I'm going to insert here header with the classes, text center, and margin bottom 12. Then inside the header, I'm going to open h1 heading element. Let's add here some classes. We need text 4XL, then empty breakpoints, text 5XL, then we need fonts extra bold, followed by margin bottom 4. Then we need background gradient, so we need BG gradient, 2 rights. We need here 2 rights. Then we need from blue 600 via indigo 600 to purple 600. Next we need inline block. Actually those gradients are used for text and not the background, so therefore we need here text transparent, and we have to use pg clip text. Well, we need here clip. As for the content, I'm going to add here FAQ center. So as you can see, we have here nice and cool heading with the gradient effects. After h1 heading element, I'm going to open paragraph with the classes text LG. Then we need text gray 600. Max width is going to be 2XL. And then we need MX auto. The content of the paragraph is going to be find answers to the most common questions about Tailwind CSS and web development. Okay, so here we have the paragraph. At this stage, our page has a clean and professional heading with a beautiful gradient-styled title and a well-aligned introductory paragraph. Right below the header, we have the FAQ list component, which will soon display our expandable FAQ items. The structure is now in place, and the page is starting to take shape. Now that we have set up the page heading and description, it's time to move forward by adding the FAQ list section. This will include a subheading, an expand all button, and a dark mode toggle. Let's go ahead and open FAQ list component and insert the following content inside the return statement. I'm going to add the classes to the wrapper development. So we need here max width equal to 3XL. Then we need MX auto. Next, I'm going to add here PX4, padding horizontally. This is for smaller screens. As for the relatively larger screens, we need SM breakpoint PX6 and then LG breakpoint PX8. Next, we need padding Y equal to 12. Alright, next I'm going to open another div element. Let's add to it some classes. We need flex, then flex column. This is going to be for smaller screens, the vertical flex layout. As for the relatively larger screens, we need SM breakpoint, flex row, then justify between, followed by items center. Then we need margin bottom 8, and actually we need here space. After margin, we need gap 4. Inside these developments, I'm going to open h2 heading element with the classes text 3XL. Then we need font bold. Next, we need BG gradient, 2 right. We need here 2 right. Then I'm going to add from indigo 600 via purple 600 to pink 600. Again, we are creating the text gradient effect. We need text transparent, followed by PG clip text. Next, we need text center, and it's going to be for smaller screen sizes. As for the larger screen sizes, I'm going to add here SM breakpoint text left. Finally, let's define width. It's going to be full, 100%. This is for smaller screens. As for the larger screens, I mean after SM breakpoint, the width is going to be auto. Well, I see here a typo, we need text. Okay, so that's it about the heading. Actually, we are missing here the content. The content is going to be frequently asked questions. Alright, so as you can see, we have here nice and cool heading with this cool gradient. Next, I'm going to open div elements right after the h2 heading elements. Let's open div with the classes, flex, then we need item center, and space x4. Inside the div elements, I'm going to insert button. Let's add here classes. Well, we have here lots of classes, but actually that's it how it works. This is Tailwind CSS, therefore we're going to add lots of classes if we want to make the cool and modern designs. I'm going to add here flex, then we need item center, followed by gap2, then we need px4, I mean horizontal padding, then we need vertical padding, it's going to be 2, then text SM, followed by font medium. Next, I'm going to change the color of the text. It's going to be white. Then we need PG gradients, 2 rights. Then we need to specify the colors. We need from blue 500 to indigo 600. Actually, we need here dash, not 0. After that, I'm going to define the hover effect. On hover, we have to change the gradient. So we need from blue 600, then hover again to indigo 700. Then we need rounded. I'm going to make the element rounded and the size is going to be LG. Then we need to add some shadow. It's going to be SM. Then I'm going to add again hover effect. On hover, let's change the shadow. We need shadow empty. And then we need focus. On focus, I'm going to set outline to none. Also, we need focus, visible. And I'm going to use here rings too. Then we need focus, visible. Ring is going to be indigo, 500. And finally, I'm going to add here transition to make the effect smoother. Transition all. The duration of the transition is going to be 300. And also, let's make cursor pointer. Okay, so that's it about the classes of the button. Hopefully, everything's correct because we have here a lot of classes. Inside the button, I'm going to open elements. And let's add here classes. We need bx collapse. This is going to be a default class, but we will change it with the dynamic one. Next we need text LG. Then right after elements, actually let's save and see what we have here. So as you can see, we have here a button with the icon. Well, I don't see here the background gradient. Well, we are missing here the dash sign. Now we have nice and cool background gradient. Alright, right after element, I'm going to insert here span, and actually we don't need here the classes. The text of this span element is going to be expand all. Well, the color should be white. We might have here the typo. Well, yes, we need text. Okay, so now everything looks good. Next, we need to create the second button. I mean this button here for toggling the dark and light themes. I'm going to open button right after this button. And as usual, I'm going to add here some classes. We need width 10. Then height is going to be 10. Flex. Also, we need item center, followed by justify center. We need to center perfectly the icon inside the circle. Next, we need rounded full, which makes the elements fully rounded. Next, we need background gradients, 2 rights. So the first color is going to be gray, 200. Then we need 2 gray 300. Text is going to be gray 700. So as you can see, we have here the circle, but inside here we don't see any icons because it's not created yet. So I'm going to add here hover effect. On hover, let's set shadow to empty. Then we need focus. And on focus, I'm going to set outline to none. Also, we need focus visible. And here we need ring 2. Then I'm going to copy this class. Let's add it here. Change the color of the ring. It's going to be blue 500. And finally, we need transition all with duration 300. And again, we need here cursor pointer. Okay, so, well, as you can see, we have here nice and cool hover effect. Now we have to pass here the icon. So inside the button elements, I'm going to open I elements. So the class name is going to be bx moon. And then we need text XL. So here we have the moon icon inside the circle. Alright, so with this addition, our FAQ section now has a structured and visually appealing introduction. Here is what we have so far. A beautifully styled frequently asked questions heading at the top of the FAQ list, an expand all button that will allow users to expand or collapse all FAQ items at once, and a dark mode toggle button which will enable users to switch between light and dark themes effortlessly. Now is a great time to implement dark mode functionality. If we wait until later, we'll already have multiple elements created and we'll need to manually add dark mode classes to each of them. This could become frustrating and time consuming. Now that we have a dark mode toggle button, it's time to actually implement the dark mode functionality. Since Tailwind CSS version 4 uses a CSS-based configuration, we no longer need to modify a Tailwind config file for dark mode. Instead, we can handle it entirely through CSS and React State Management. I'm going to open the index.css file, and here I'm going to insert the following line of code. We need add custom variant followed by dark. Then we need to open the parentheses. We need ampersand, then where, and inside here we need to specify class dark, then again class dark, space, and the star. Okay, so what does this line do? This custom variant defines how Tailwind's dark mode style should be applied. The where selector ensures that when the dark class is added to the HTML elements, all child elements automatically inherit the correct dark mode styles. As I said, unlike previous versions, Tailwind CSS4 doesn't require a configuration file to enable dark mode. Instead, it uses CSS custom variants, making the implementation cleaner and more efficient. To allow users to toggle between light and dark themes, we need to create a state variable to track the current theme. Let's open FAQ list.jsx file and import uState. At the top of the file, I'm going to add here uState. Then I'm going to create state variable, which is going to be dark mode. Then we need set dark mode function and uState hook with the value false. So the dark mode state will store whether dark mode is enabled or disabled. The set dark mode function allows us to update this state whenever the user clicks the toggle button. Since React re-renders the component whenever state changes, our UI will update dynamically when dark mode is toggled. With this setup, our app is now aware of whether dark mode is active or not, but we still need a way to switch between the two themes. Next, we need to create a function that switches between dark mode and light mode when the user clicks the dark mode button. I'm going to add the following function here. We need toggle dark mode. It's going to be an arrow function. And inside here, we have to update dark mode using set dark mode function. And as you can see, we have to pass here this value. Actually, I'm going to get rid of this line of code. We don't need it here. We use here set dark mode function with the value not dark mode. This function flips the value of dark mode each time it is called. If dark mode was false, it becomes true, enabling dark mode. If dark mode was true, it becomes false, switching back to light mode. This ensures that every time the user clicks the toggle button, the theme instantly switches. However, changing the state alone is not enough. We also need to apply the dark class to the HTML element so that Tailwind knows to switch themes. To dynamically apply or remove the dark class whenever the state changes, we need to use the useEffect hook. First, I'm going to import useEffect from React. Then I'm going to use useEffect hook. We need here a dependency array. So the useEffect hook runs code whenever the component renders or updates. The second argument, this array here, is called the dependency array. If it is empty, the effect only runs once when the component first mounts. If we include here a variable like dark mode, the effect runs every time that variable changes. Since we want to apply the dark class dynamically, we need to watch for changes in dark mode. Therefore, we have to pass here dark mode. Alright, now let's update the useEffect hook to apply or remove the dark class based on the dark mode state. As you can see, we have here a suggestion, which I think is correct, so I'm going to use it. We have here if statement, where we check if dark mode is true or false. If it is true, we add class dark to the root element, and if it is false, we remove class dark from the root element. Alright, so now that the dark mode functionality is in place, we need to make sure that clicking the toggle button actually triggers the theme change. Well, I think that I wrote this code in the wrong component because we need to have this code in the app.js file. So my apologies, I messed it up here. We'll fix that in a minute. I'm going to grab this code and paste it here in the app.js file. We need to import useEffects and useState hooks. Then go back to the list component and delete those hooks from here. So right now the toggle dark mode function exists, but the button that controls it is in a different component. This component. We have here the dark mode functionality and the button is here. So we need to pass the function down as a prop so that the child component can access it. Down below, I'm going to insert here prop. We need toggle dark mode equal to toggle dark mode. By doing this, we send the function in FAQ list component, making it available inside that component. Now let's open FAQ list and we need to insert here toggle dark mode function. We need here camel case. Now the FAQ list component has access to the toggle dark mode function and we can call it whenever needed. Next, we need to attach the function to the toggle button's onClick event. I'm going to find the toggle button. We need this button here. So we need to add here onClick. And we have to call toggle dark mode function. Now when the button is clicked, it calls toggle dark mode, which updates the state and toggles dark mode. However, nothing visually changes yet because we haven't applied dark mode styles. To make the theme switch visible, we need to change the background colors when dark mode is active. I'm going to open up the JSX file and I'm going to add here classes for dark mode. We need dark from gray 950, then dark via gray 900, and then we need this code here. Well, I'm going to get rid of text colors for now. So we have here dark from gray 950, then dark via gray 900, and dark to gray 950. Well, as you can see, the background color is changed. When we click the toggle button, the entire background smoothly shifts between light and dark themes. Actually, let's add here transition, colors, duration, 300. Let's check the results. Now we have here nice and cool, smooth transition between light and dark themes. Alright, so currently the paragraph inside the app.jsx file remains dark colored, even in dark mode. Let's fix that by applying some styles to the paragraph. So we need here dark, text gray, we need colon, then text gray, 300. Now when dark mode is activated, the paragraph text updates to match the dark theme. The toggle button itself should also change the appearance in dark mode. Right now it still has light mode styles even when dark mode is active. So I'm going to modify the button. Let's add here dark from gray 700, then dark to gray 800, and also we need to change the text color. Let's add here dark text gray 200. Now when switching to dark mode, the toggle button updates its background and icon color, making it blend seamlessly with the theme. Right now the icon inside the button is always a moon icon. Even when dark mode is active, we need to dynamically switch between the moon and sun. We need to dynamically switch between the moon and sun. First, we need to access to the dark mode state inside the FAQ list component. So I'm going to go back to the app.jsx file and I'm going to add here dark mode equal to dark mode. Then in the list component, I'm going to modify the function parameters by adding dark mode. Now the component knows whether dark mode is currently enabled or disabled. Inside here, I'm going to update the icon class dynamically using a template literal. First, I'm going to cut those classes and then replace quotes with curly braces. And then we need backticks. Let's paste back the classes. So here, I'm going to get rid of moon and open $sign with curly braces. We need here to check if dark mode is true or false. If it is true, we need sun. And if it is false, we need moon. So again, if dark mode is true, it applies bx sun, showing a sun icon for light mode. If dark mode is false, it applies moon, showing a moon icon for dark mode. The icon will automatically update when switching themes. So as you can see, we have here sun icon on dark mode. And once we change the mode, then we'll get here the moon icon. Alright, so now that we've successfully set up dark mode and the toggle functionality, it's time to display the actual questions and answers on the page. We already have our FAQ data, which contains a structured array of questions and answers. Now let's go ahead and import it and dynamically render each question item inside the FAQ list. So let's open this component and import FAQ data from data/FAQ data. Now data is available inside this component and we can use it to display the list of FAQ items dynamically. Before we display the FAQ items, let's start the container that will hold them. Inside this component, I'm going to wrap these components with div elements. Let's insert FAQ item inside here. Then I'm going to add to this development some classes. We need bg white /80. It means that the white color will have 80% of the opacity. Then we need dark bg gray 800/80. Then we need rounded XL followed by the shadow. We need here LG. Then we need border with border indigo 100/50. Next we need dark modes, and on dark mode we need border indigo 900/30. Then we need overflow hidden and transition all with duration 300. So at this point, our question section structure is visually ready, and now we need to populate it with data. Now that the wrapper is ready, we need to loop through the data array and display each question item dynamically. So inside this wrapper, I'm going to open curly braces, where we have to map through FAQ data array. Inside here, we need to pass item. Then we need to insert here this component. We need to insert here key prop equal to item.id. And then we have to add here item equal to item. So as you can see, all different FAQ items are displayed on the page. So we loop through every question answer object in the data array. Each item is passed as a prop to the question item component. The key prop ensures that React optimizes rendering by tracking unique items. The item prop, this one, sends the question and answer data to item component so we can access them there. So each question is displayed inside the container. Now let's open the item component where each individual item will be displayed. First, I'm going to modify the function parameters inside FAQ item component. So we need to pass here item, which we have passed as a prop here in the FAQ item component. Item now holds the question and answer data for each question. This allows us to access item.question and item.answer within this component. Now let's style the container for each individual item. I'm going to add some classes to this development. So we need here border bottom, followed by border gray 200. Then we need dark mode. On dark mode, the border is going to be gray 700. Then we need last child to the class, and I'm going to add here border none for the last item. Then we need transition colors, followed by duration 300. And now I'm going to define some hover facts. We need hover. On hover, I'm going to change the background gradient. We need 2 rights. Then we need hover. The color is going to be gray 50/50. Then we need hover 2 transparent. Next, I'm going to define the dark mode. So on dark mode, we need from gray 800/50. 50% of the opacity. And then we need dark 2 transparent. Okay, so as you can see, our question items have a structured layout with a smooth hover effect. Now we need to display each question inside a button so that users can expand and collapse answers. Inside the item component, I'm going to insert the button with the classes with full. Then we need padding y equal to 5, px 4. Then we need flex layout, display flex, followed by justify between. Next we need item center, followed by text left. Then we need focus, and on focus I'm going to set outline none. Then we need a rounded LG, followed by transition all. The duration is going to be 200. We need cursor pointer, and then text gray 900, followed by the dark mode. We need text transparent on dark mode. Next we need hover. On hover I'm going to use PG clip text. Then we need again hover effect. On hover we need PG gradient 2 rights. Then hover. On hover we need from indigo 600. Then again we need hover. To define the second color we need 2 purple 600. Then on dark mode we need hover from indigo 400. Then again dark mode, hover to purple. We need here purple 400. Next, I'm going to add here span elements. Let's add to it some classes. We need text LG, then font medium. Next, we need padding right 6. And as the content, now I'm going to insert here item dot question, which comes from this FAQ data file. Here we have the content of the question for each object. Okay, let's save. Well, we have here the questions, but something's wrong with the design. Let's find dark mode. Well, here we have the typo. We need dark. And actually not text transparent. We need text white for sure. Then we need hover with text transparent. Now let's save. Alright, so as you can see, now the colors, the test colors are white, but actually I don't think that this background gradient is correct. Well, for sure it's not correct. Let's check the wrapper development. So we have here hover BG gradient to right, then hover from gray 50/50, then we have hover to transparent. So here we are missing hover. I need hover from gray 800/50, and we are missing hover here as well. Okay, now I think that we have the same effect that we have in the original project. Okay, now the next thing that I'm going to do is to add the plus icon that we have here in the original project. So let's go ahead and add those icons to the questions. Inside the button next to span elements, I'm going to open another div with the classes flex shrink 0. Then we need flex followed by item center. Next we need justify center. Then width is going to be 8 followed by minimum width. It's going to be 8 as well. Then I'm going to use aspect square, which means that the width and height will be always the same. So let's use aspect square. Next I'm going to make the element rounded using rounded full. We need background gray 200. Actually we need here background gray. Then I'm going to define dark mode. On dark mode we need background gray 700 followed by transition all, and the duration is going to be 200. Inside this development I'm going to open iElements with the classes bx plus. Then the color of the text, the icon, is going to be gray 500. Then we need dark mode. On dark mode we need text gray 400. Alright, so here we have those plus icons next to the questions. This plus icon makes it clear that the question can be expanded. Next, let's add a container to display the answer when the question is expanded. I'm going to insert development right after the button. So let's add to the development overflow hidden. Next, we need another development with the classes padding 4. Then we need padding top 0. Then padding bottom 5. Then I'm going to set text to gray 600. Next we need dark mode, and on dark mode I'm going to set text color to gray 300. Inside here we need another div element with the classes padding 3, rounded LG. Then we need overflow Y auto followed by max height, and it's going to be an arbitrary value, 300 pixels. As the content of this development, I'm going to insert item.answer. Like the question text, it comes from the FAQ data file. So as you can see, we have here questions with the answers. Alright, so we successfully displayed the questions and answers. The next step is to add interactivity by implementing expand and collapse functionality. Right now, all the answers are visible at once, but we want each question item to be clickable so that the answer appears only when the question is selected. To achieve this, we need to introduce state variables that will help us track which item is open and whether the user wants to expand all items at once. Inside the list component, I'm going to import useState at the top. So let's add here useState. And then I'm going to create state variable inside the function. We need here state variable, which is going to be open ID, followed by set open ID. And I'm going to set this state variable to null. So the open ID state stores the ID of the currently open question item. If an item is clicked, its ID will be stored in this state, and the corresponding answer will be revealed. If the user clicks the same item again, the state will be reset to null, which means the answer will be hidden again. Next, we need to create another state variable, and in this case, we will have here expand all. Then we need set expand all, useState, and the default value is going to be false. The expand all state variable determines whether all question items should be expanded at once. If it is true, every single question item will be open, and all answers will be visible simultaneously. If it is false, only one item at a time will be open. These two state variables allow us to toggle between opening and closing individual items or expanding, collapsing everything at once. Now that we have state variables in place, we need a function that controls the expand, collapse behavior of individual question item. Let's go ahead and define the function inside the list component. I'm going to call the function toggle item. We need here parameter ID. So the toggle item function will be responsible for opening or closing a specific FAQ item when a user clicks on a question. It will also handle cases where the expand all mode is enabled, ensuring a smooth user experience. Now we have to check whether the expand all mode is active. If it is, we should disable it because clicking on a single question item should automatically exit the expand all mode and switch back to individual control. So inside here, we need to use if statement with the following condition. We need expand all, and then we have to set expand all to false. Next, we need to update the open ID state. So inside here, we need set open ID. Since we need to determine whether we are opening or closing a question item, we need to pass a function to set open ID that receives the previously open item's ID as prev ID. So we need here a callback function with prev ID parameter. And inside this function, we have to check if the currently clicked item is the same as the previously opened one. If it is, we should set open ID to null, which means the item should close. So inside here, we need if prev ID equals to ID, then we need return null. So if the clicked item is different, then we update OpenID with the newly clicked item's ID, which will open that item while closing any previously opened item. Now, after this if statement, we have to return ID. So this function ensures that only one question item is open at a time, and clicking the same item toggles its visibility. Now, in addition to toggling individual items, we need a function to handle expanding or collapsing all items at once. This function is much simpler but equally important. So right after this function, I'm going to create another one, and it's going to be toggle expand all. We need here an arrow function. So inside here, I'm going to use setExpandAll function, and the value is going to be a callback function with pref, and we have to return not pref. Then I'm going to use setOpenID function with the value null. Okay, so this function first toggles the value of expandAll. If it was false, it becomes true, meaning all question items should expand. If it was true, it becomes false, meaning all items should collapse. After changing expandAll, we also reset OpenID to null. This is important because if expandAll mode is enabled, we don't want any individual toggling logic to interfere. This function provides users with the option to view all answers at once or collapse them in a single click. Now that we have our functions ready, we need to pass the required props to the question item component so that it can receive the necessary data and functionality. Now let's go ahead and modify the mapping function inside the list component. So down below, I'm going to modify this map function. I'm going to add here onClick prop with the value toggle item, and then we need is open prop. The value is going to be expand all. Then we need OR operator followed by OpenID equal to item.id. So the onClick prop receives the toggle item function. This means that when a user clicks on a question inside the item component, it will trigger the toggle item function with the corresponding item ID. The isOpen prop is a Boolean value that determines whether a specific question item should be open or closed. If expandAll is true, then every question item will be open. Otherwise, we check whether the OpenID state matches the current item's ID, meaning only that item should be open. Now, let's go ahead and open this component here, I mean FAQ item, and modify the function parameter to accept the newly passed props. So we need here onClick and it's open. This allows the FAQ item component to receive onClick that handles the expand collapse logic and is open that determines whether the item should be expanded or collapsed. To ensure smooth animation when expanding answers, we need to store a reference to the answer's height. So at the top of this component, I'm going to import useref hook, then define a reference variable inside the components. So here I'm going to create new variable. It's going to be answer ref, and we need useref with the value null. So this reference will store the height of the answer section, allowing us to calculate how much space to allocate when an item expands. Without this, the animation would not be smooth. We need to assign unique IDs to each question item and its corresponding answer. Inside the wrapper div of each question item, I'm going to add ID attribute, and it should be equal to curly braces with backticks. We need FAQ-item, and we need here $sign with curly braces, and as you can see, we need item.id. So this attribute gives each question item a unique identifier, which helps when scrolling to an open item later. Next, I'm going to modify the answers wrapper div. So down below, I'm going to modify this development here. We need to add ID equal to curly braces with backticks, and here we need to insert answer dash $sign followed by item ID. And as you can see, the copilot added here reference, which is correct as well, and I will explain it in a minute. So let's talk about this ID attribute here. It dynamically assigns a unique ID to each answer section. The item.id part ensures that each answer gets a unique identifier, such as answer 1, answer 2, and so on. When an item is clicked, we can easily target this specific ID in our JavaScript logic if needed. Additionally, it helps when implementing smooth scrolling, ensuring that a particular answer section can be brought into view. Next, we have reference with the value answer ref, This attribute connects this specific div to a React useref hook, which was previously defined in our component. When React renders a component, useref allows us to directly reference a DOM element. In this case, answerRef will point to the actual HTML element representing the answers container. By having this reference, we can access properties of this element, such as scroll height, which represents the full height of the content inside the answer section, even when it's collapsed. This is useful for dynamically determining how much space the answer needs when expanded. Now, I'm going to add to these developments style attributes with the following codes. We need max height. Then I'm going to add here is open. It's going to be a conditional statement. We need question mark followed by this expression. Let's use it. Besides that, I'm going to add here another property. It's going to be opacity. Then we need is open. If it is true, we need 1. And if it is false, we need 0. Alright, so once I save the code, as you can see, the answers are no longer visible. So as you already know, the style prop is used to apply inline styles dynamically. One of the most critical styles here is max height. The logic inside the max height determines whether the answer should be visible or hidden. If is open is true, meaning the question item is expanded, we set max height to this expression here. This means that the maximum height of the answer section will be equal to its full content height. If is open is false, meaning the question item is collapsed, we set max height to 0, effectively hiding the content. By dynamically adjusting max height, we achieve a smooth transition effect where the content appears to slide open instead of appearing instantly. This part is what makes this effect dynamic. Scroll height is a built-in JavaScript property that returns the actual height of an element's content, even if it's hidden with overflow hidden. So the only thing that we're missing here is the optional chaining operator. Let's add here question mark. So the optional chaining operator ensures that if answerReference.current is null, such as when the component first renders, it doesn't cause an error. Alright, now let's modify the question button inside the FAQ item component. We need to find question button, which is this button here. I'm going to add here onClick. Then we need to pass here a callback function. And we have to return onClick. As you can see, we need to pass here item.id. So when the button is clicked, it calls onClick with the item's ID, triggering the toggle item function inside FAQ list component. This ensures the correct answer is expanded or collapsed. Alright, so now if I click the question, well, the answer is not showing. Let's open console. Well, we don't have here any errors. So let's check the code. Here in the style attribute, we have max height is open. Well, here everything seems to be correct. Let's check onClick event handler. Everything is correct. Let's go back to the FAQ list function. Actually, the component, not the function. So we need here toggle item. Let's check the props. Well, we have onClick with toggle item is open expand all, open ID equal to item.id. Well, everything seems to be correct. Let's check the function. Toggle item, we have if statement. Well, this part should be outside of the if statement. Let's cut it off and paste it here. Well, yes, now everything works fine. Okay, so as you can see, once we click the questions, the answers are expanding, and only one answer is expanded at a time. Okay, let's check the light theme. Well, what is this border here? Let's check wrapper. So as you can see, we have here Indigo instead of Indigo. Okay, now the problem is fixed. All right, so the next thing that we have to do is to expand all the answers. Once we click this button here, expand all button. For that, we have to add the onClick event handler to the expand all button. So let's go ahead and find this button. Here we have it. I'm going to add here onClick event handler. And I'm going to insert here toggle expand all. Now, if we click the button, then all the answers will expand. So everything works fine. Okay, now the FAQ items are fully interactive. Clicking a question expands or collapses the answer. Only one item is open at a time, unless expand all mode is enabled. Now to make the expanding effect smoother, I'm going to go back to the item components and I'm going to add here transition all with duration 300. Now as you can see, we have smooth expanding effect. Alright, so the next thing that I'm going to do is to change the content of the button dynamically. But before that, I want to fix one problem. When the question is expanded, the scroll bar appears because the content exceeds the screen height. While this is expected, it doesn't look very appealing, and we want to ensure a clean, smooth scrolling experience while still making the content accessible. To achieve this, we will completely hide the scroll bar while keeping the section scrollable. To remove the scroll bar across different browsers, we need to apply specific styles targeting WebKit browsers, which are Chrome, Safari, Edge, Chromium, Microsoft browsers, Internet Explorer and Edge, and Firefox. So let's go to the index.css file and add here the following code. We need HTML followed by WebKit, scroll bar, and inside here we need display none. So this part of the code targets WebKit-based browsers such as Google Chrome, Safari, and newer versions of Edge that use the Chromium engine. The WebKit scrollbar pseudo element allows us to modify or completely remove the scrollbar. Setting display none hides it entirely, ensuring that even when the content exceeds the viewport height, the scrollbar remains invisible while still allowing users to scroll. So as you can see, the scroll bar is hidden, but we are able to scroll. If we expand all answers, we still will be able to scroll up and down. Okay, next I'm going to add here HTML with MS overflow style with the value none, and then we need scroll bar with the value none. So this second part of the code ensures that the scroll bar is hidden in older Microsoft browsers, including Internet Explorer and the legacy version of Edge. The first line of code specifically tells Internet Explorer and older Edge versions not to display the scroll bar. For Firefox, we have scroll bar with the value none. It achieves the same result, completely removing the scroll bar while preserving scrolling functionality. So again, with this change, even when expanding all question items, the scroll bar no longer appears and the interface remains visually clean. Alright, now let's enhance the expand all button by changing its icon and text dynamically based on the expand all state. So let's go ahead and find this button. It is placed in the FAQ list components. Let's find expand all. Here we have it. So I'm going to change the icon and the text dynamically. So I'm going to cut those classes. And instead of quotes, we need curly braces with backticks. Let's paste back the class names. So after bx, I'm going to open $, and I'm going to insert here expand all. If it is true, we need bx collapse alt, and if it is false, we need bx expand alt. Actually, we can get rid of bx from those classes and add it here with the dash sign. Then I'm going to get rid of this class at all. As for the text, I'm going to cut this out, then open curly braces. We need again expand all. If it is true, we need collapse all. And if it is false, we need expand all. Okay, so once we click the button, then the icon and the text will be changed accordingly. So as you can see, everything works perfectly. All right, so now the next thing that I'm going to do is to take care of the smooth scrolling when the last items, the last questions are expanded. As you can see, when users expand the last question items, the newly opened answer remains out of the view, forcing users to manually scroll down. To improve this, we need to automatically scroll to the opened FAQ item. We will use the useEffect hook to achieve this behavior. So inside this component, FAQ list component, I'm going to import useEffect. Then I'm going to use useEffect hook here. We need here a dependency array. So this effect will trigger whenever the OpenID state changes, ensuring that when a question is expanded, it smoothly scrolls into view. Inside here, I'm going to use if statements, where we will have the following condition. We need OpenID, followed by the AND operator. Then we need type of window not equals to undefined. Well, the Copilot is suggesting here the code, but I prefer to write it manually. So this condition checks if OpenID exists and ensures that the window object is available. Actually, it is important for server-side rendering environments. Next, we need to add here set timeouts. Let's add here callback function. And we need here the second parameter, which is going to be the amount of time, and I'm going to add here 100 milliseconds. So the set timeout function introduces a slight delay equal to 100 milliseconds to allow the content to expand first before attempting to scroll. Next, inside here, I'm going to add new variable, which is going to be, let's call it first, elements. It should be equal to, as you can see, the Copilot is suggesting the code. Let's use it because it is correct. So once the content is fully expanded, we use document.getElementById with this ID to locate the expanded question item. Next, we need to apply scroll into view with behavior smooth to create a natural scrolling effect. So here we need if statement, where we have to check if element exists or not. Then we need element dot scroll into view. Let's go ahead and use this code. I'm going to get rid of the inline property from here. And down below, we have to add OpenID in the dependency array. After implementing this, whenever a question item expands, the page will automatically scroll down smoothly, ensuring that the content remains visible. Now, if I click last item, you will see that the page scrolls up smoothly, but actually, I think that's not quite what we need here. Let's compare it to the finished, the original project. Well, as you can see, we have here much better. Let's go to the FAQ item component and I think we have the problem with this element here. Overflow hidden, transition all, duration 300. We need to add here is out. And also let's make transition 200. Make it quicker. Now let's reload the page. Click, and here we go. Now we have much better result, and actually it is similar to the original project. All right, now we have to refine the visual designs of the FAQ items when expanded. Starting with the question button, we need to modify its styles to visually indicate when an item is open. So let's go ahead and find the question button. This button here. So I'm going to cut the entire class. Then we need to add here curly braces with backticks. Let's paste back the class. I'm going to find cursor pointer. So all the classes that are after cursor pointer will be used when is open is false. So we need here is open. If it is true, we need some classes, and if it is false, we need the classes that we cut a minute ago. Well, something's wrong here. Let's add here colon and add here the classes that we cut. As for the case when is open is true, I'm going to add here quickly some classes. We need PG gradient to right from indigo 200 via purple 200 to indigo 200/90. Then we need here dark mode. On dark mode, we need from indigo 900/80. Then dark via purple 900/80. Then again, we need dark mode to indigo 900/70. Then we need text purple 700, followed by dark mode, and the text is going to be white. And finally, we need fonts. Actually, we need here font medium. Well, I think that everything is correct here. Let's quickly check the codes. So I think that everything is correct. Now, if I expand, well, that's not what we need here. We have a mistake. Let's check dark via purple. 980 from indigo 980 to indigo. Well, we need here slash. Now everything's correct. Okay, after that I'm going to modify the plus button, actually the container of the plus button. Let's find these elements. Here we have it. So I'm going to cut the class. Then again we need here curly braces with backticks. Paste back the class. Next I'm going to cut those two classes and add them here. So here we have to pass again $, curly braces is open. If it is true, then we need some classes, and if it is false, then we have to use those classes. I'm going to cut them out and paste them here. As for the first case, we need to pass here PG gradient to right, followed by from indigo 600 to purple 600. Then we need dark mode from indigo 500, then dark to purple 500, and finally we need shadow MD. Okay, let's open the questions. So the background is changed. Now we have to take care of this plus icon. I'm going to customize iElement. Let's cut those classes. So we need the same thing here. I'm going to open curly braces with backticks, paste back the classes. After bx, we need to open curly braces with isOpen. If it is true, then we need bx minus. And if it is false, then we need bx plus. I'm going to get rid of this class. And here I'm going to open again curly braces. We need isOpen. If it is true, we need text white. And if it is false, we need those classes. So let's cut them and paste them here. Okay, so I think, well, we have here some transition, which we don't need. So I'm going to get rid of this transition from here. I think we don't need it. Okay, so now everything works fine. Alright, so that's it about the design refinements of the elements. Next we have to customize the dark light theme. Currently, when users refresh the page, the dark mode preference resets. To maintain the user's choice, we need to store the theme preference in local storage. So let's modify the useState initialization for dark mode. I'm going to open up.jsx file and I'm going to modify this code here. So instead of the false value, I'm going to add here a callback function where we have to create new variable. It's going to be saved theme. Then we need local storage dot get item. Inside here, I'm going to add dark mode. Then we need return saved theme with the condition statement, and we need this code here. Okay, so unlike a regular useState false, this version retrieves the user's previously selected mode from local storage. The goal is to ensure that if a user previously enabled dark mode, it remains activated even after they close or reopen the browser. The function inside useState is an initializer function, which means it only runs once when the component mounts. Instead of setting a hard-coded false as the default value, it first attempts to retrieve a saved value from local storage. The first line checks if there is already a stored value for dark mode, if this is the first time the user is visiting the site, or if they have never switched to dark mode before, local storage.getItem with dark mode will return null. The next part determines what the initial value of dark mode should be. If saved mode exists, it is converted back into a boolean using json.parse because local storage can only store strings. This ensures that true remains true and false remains false when retrieving the value. If saved mode is null, meaning no preference has been stored yet, the default value of false is returned, ensuring that the website starts in light mode. Next, we need to add the following line right after this if statement. As you can see, we have here a suggestion. Let's use it. So we have local storage.setItem with dark mode. Then inside here we have json.stringify with again dark mode. So this line ensures that whenever the dark mode state changes, the new value is saved in local storage. Since local storage only supports string data, json.stringify is used to convert the boolean value into a string. Each time the user toggles dark mode, this line runs, updating local storage with the latest selection. That way, the next time the user visits the site, the previously saved theme will be retrieved and applied automatically. Now, if we reload the page, the dark mode will be remained. If we change the mode into light and reload the page, we will get here the light mode again. Okay, so everything is working perfectly. Let's shrink the window to see if the project looks good on smaller screens. Well, we have here a tiny issue. I'm going to change the color of the minus sign on light mode. So let's go back to the FAQ item and find this element here. So we need text white. We have here a typo. Now, here we have it. Okay, so that's it. We have successfully built a fully functional modern FAQ section with smooth animations, expandable items, and dark mode support. Throughout this tutorial, we covered a range of important web development concepts, from state management and event handling in React to dynamic class management and UI enhancements with Tailwind CSS. We also ensured that the dark mode preference is stored, allowing users to retain their settings even after refreshing the page. Hopefully you learned something new today and enjoyed building this project. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. Also drop a comment below and let me know what you think about this project or if you have any questions. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.